listening to Her Profit Era, the podcast for founders who want a business that actually works. A business that's profitable, predictable, and pays them well. I'm Cindy Kumar, a CPA, a fractional CFO from Abbotsford, BC, Canada. I'm the person founders call when they're tired of high revenue months with no money left over. I started this podcast because too many founders were chasing sales while their margins, cash flow, and bank accounts told a completely different story. I believe profit and money in the bank is the standard, not a bonus, and that every founder deserves clarity around their numbers. Each week, you'll get real financial strategy you can actually use and honest conversations with founders and industry experts about what it really takes to build a business that lasts. Megan is the co-founder and heart behind Sit Pretty Events, a wedding planning and coordination company rooted in connection, care, and creating celebrations that feel deeply personal. What began as a small chair rental business has grown into a passionate team of creatives who genuinely love being part of such meaningful moments in people's lives. The name Sit Pretty itself holds a special place in Megan's heart. It's a tribute to her bonus dad, Bob, who came up with it at the very beginning. Carrying him forward feels like bringing a piece of him into every celebration she's honored to be a part of. As a recent bride herself, Megan understands firsthand how emotional, exciting, and overwhelming wedding planning can be. Sit Pretty's approach is grounded in making couples feel truly seen, supported, and cared for every step of the way. Whether calming nerves, fixing veils, managing behind the scenes timelines, or simply being a steady presence on the wedding day, Sit Pretty Events is known for bringing warmth, intention, and a whole lot of heart to every celebration they plan and execute. So let's get into this conversation with Megan. Hi, Megan. Thanks so much for joining me on Her Profit Era today.
Hi, Cindy. I'm so excited to be here and thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited to finally hear your whole story of how you got into wedding planning.
There's a lot to, I even look back and I'm like, how did I end up here? But it's funny how all of the things add up to this moment. So I'm excited to share that with you.
Could you share how did you get into event planning and even wedding planning?
So I come from a hospitality background. I did my hospitality and management diploma, more so for restaurants. So restaurant management, serving, bartending, all of that. I really focused on that. And then I actually got offered a position at a venue down in Vancouver. At the time, I was living in Burnaby. It was a big move for me. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to try events and I'm going to see what it's like. And
Yeah.
on that side, I was on the venue side. So I got to understand the catering, the venue, all of that back end stuff that now really helps me go through and work with different people in venues. So I did that for a couple years. And then when I left that, Brianna and I had the opportunity to buy, she came to me and basically said, do you want to buy a bunch of chairs and start a chair rental company? I was like, why not? Let's do it. Fast forward, COVID hit, and we were kind of like, okay, now we've got all these chairs. What do we do with them? And in that time, we also felt the pull to do more. We wanted to be more with couples, understand couples, be a bigger part of the day versus just dropping off chairs and being a part of that. So we very quickly realized that chair rentals was not our niche, not where we wanted to be. And so we just kind of branched out. So using the experience from hospitality, from the event world, we branched out into wedding planning, slowly worked our way through COVID, smaller weddings, friends' weddings. And now somehow 6 years later, we are here and Sit Pretty is what it is. So it started off as hospitality and restaurants and then slowly turned into events and then into rentals and then into weddings in specific. So it's a cool transition through the hospitality world, I guess, and events world.
That's so cool. And
Thank
you
you. Yeah.
originally started like wedding planning as like a side hustle.
Yes, so we were both working full-time jobs Monday to Friday. I was working as a receptionist, and then transitioned into a operations with a tech company where I was doing corporate events, but thankfully they were very flexible and very understanding to allow for that side business that then grew into more of a full-time with a full-time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a side hustle to start and then very quickly grew into a full-time because I realized I couldn't juggle both anymore. It was too much.
Yeah, and I had started working with you guys when you were in that side hustle kind of phase. And
Yeah.
you and Brianna were like, we want to make this our full time. Like, we just want to grow. And you could tell how passionate you both were.
Totally. It was just one of those things. And I remember, I think it's always that case of when do I rip off the band-aid? And that's terrifying. And I
Yeah.
remember you being like, just do it. It's okay. You'll figure it out. And I just did it. And it was the best thing I ever did. Um, Honestly, just an immense sense of relief and being able to give everything to the business was a whole new chapter for the business, which I needed in order to grow in the business and grow the business.
Do you wish you had done it sooner, or did you feel like the timing was right?
I wish I'd done it sooner. I think everybody says the same thing.
Yeah.
Because there's it's just scary. You don't know, you're relying on yourself. You no longer have that full-time corporate job with those benefits and, that steady income. It just wasn't that I was going into. So it was
Yeah.
scary, but I don't think you can fully give your all to your business until you rip off that band-aid and you don't have to think about another job and you don't have to think about what's going on the side and this and that and juggling both.
That's so true. And did you have like a safety net of like money saved aside when you started?
Probably not enough. But I just figured if I didn't do it now, I wasn't going to do it.
Yeah.
And I know people are like, "Oh, you should have X amount of dollars." And I was like, "I just can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I got to jump and I got to, get out of it." And I did not truthfully have as much as I probably should, but money comes and goes and you figure it out.
And then did you always know like what type of wedding planning services you wanted to offer? Because I know everyone has like so many different packages and like different rates. So did you have like an idea of who your ideal client was, or was it kind of like trial and error?
Definitely trial and error. I think when you start off in the business and kind of knowing what you know, and then as you grow, you gather more, you figure out more. I always say that when you're wedding planning, there's after every single wedding, I don't not take away something. Like it's either I'm always going to do that again or I'm never going to do that again, or this is
Yeah.
what worked and this is what didn't. So as as it happens, we started off working more day of coordination, month of coordination, slowly and gradually worked into other packages. Now I don't offer anything, not even 2 month takeovers really. The importance of getting to know a couple, build that trust, have them trust me, have me get to know them so I can make those calls on the day and they feel good. So slowly over time they transitioned. What we started off with is definitely not where we are now. And I didn't even know now existed when I was at that point.
And how far in advance would you recommend someone reach out to you?
I'd say a year is probably helpful. Just the more time we have to work together, more time we have to get to know each other. Too, those dates book up very quickly. So even now, there's still 2026 inquiries trickling in, but unfortunately, we're mostly full. So it's those things. And I always say too, if you want certain vendors, you got to get on them quick because they go like that. So it's just that peace of mind. But I enjoy about a year out, if not longer, just so that we do have that time to work together and get to know each other.
And what do you look for when working with a client or even saying yes to a bride?
That's a great question. I just feel like that, and I try to reiterate to my couples too. I want you to feel comfortable with me. I want you to feel like you can come to me and we can build this relationship and be friends on the wedding day, and you know that I'm going to be there and I've got your back. I think the biggest thing for me is trust. I need a couple to trust me. So it's looking for that. And are they willing to let go and willing to, allow me to help them through the process? Because that's what I'm there for. And that's why I do what I do. So without that, it's hard to do my job and it's hard to produce if there's not that trust built throughout and that trust given to me to do that, if that
That
makes
totally
sense.
makes sense. Yeah, that totally does. And was it hard, like, building up your clientele or even building relationships with vendors when, like, you guys were doing it as a side hustle, or was it easy to develop those kind of relationships with, like, your time constraint?
I feel like it was good. Everybody in the wedding industry is very open and very welcoming. So I feel like that was really nice on the vendor side of it. I always felt like I had the flexibility with my job too, that I could do more communication or, realistically, I'm an early bird. I was up at 5 a.m. I was on the
Wow.
computer until 9 a.m. When I had to turn around and go to work. I'd go to work, kind of work on the side. And
Yeah.
then I would come home and I'd do meetings till 9 p.m. So my whole day was consumed by work, but I knew that's what I needed to do. Um, so I just kind of made it happen and made sure I got back to people. And I've always kind of had that, you know, 24 to 48 hour Monday to Friday sort of mentality. So I try to get
Yeah.
back to people as quickly as I can. It's always been important.
That totally makes sense. And you just recently got married too. So how is that whole experience of like, I know you hired like a separate wedding planner. So how is
Yeah.
that whole experience for you seeing it like from a bride's perspective?
It was a game changer. I think that it changed my perspective. I understood as much as I could, but
Yeah.
without actually having gone through it, it was quite hard to fully grasp, especially the emotional side of it, because I come in as a logical point of like, okay,
Yeah.
these are the decisions. This is what needs to happen. Some couples will be like, can you just make the decision for me? I'm like, yeah, no problem, because I'm that logical person that is able to come in without all those emotions.
Yeah.
It was emotionally draining. There were so many decisions, and I think sometimes people think that it was easier because it's what I do for a living.
Yeah.
And I'm here to tell you it was just as hard. I felt everything. And I think at the end of it, I was just ready to get there and see it all come together because even for my own wedding, I had a hard time. As many times as I tried to put visuals together, I tried to understand what it was going to look like. I think the emotions took over and I couldn't fully grasp what that was going to look like. And at some point I was
Yeah.
like, I don't even care. It's going to be a great day. I don't care.
Yeah.
And I would do the day a million times over. I would not plan it again, but I would do the day a million times over. And it was, yeah, it was the best day. It's just, it takes an emotional toll on you.
Yeah, it does. And did you feel like it was easy to let go of control and trust your wedding planner, or did you feel like the control side kind of came in too?
No, I didn't actually. I say this to all of my couples too. I'm a wedding planner. I came in on the wedding day and I didn't think about a single thing. My
Wow.
mind was not on that timeline. Serge, my husband, and his groomsmen were late for the first look. I was like, you know what? It is what it is. It'll all happen. It's
Wow.
fine. Um, I was able to really let go, but I think that was also from the other side too, where she allowed me to let go. And I felt like I was in good hands with all my vendors. Um, and at some point, I realized there's nothing I could do. Like at the end of the day, whatever is going to happen is going to happen. It's how
Yeah.
I approach the wedding and how I go into it and what I decide to make of it too.
That's so true. And yeah, I feel like the day just flies by and like all this planning, it's done within like a day.
It is, and it just even the lead up to it, like the realization of, okay, you have this bachelorette party, and then it's done, and then you have,
Yeah.
different moments leading up to it, and then all of a sudden they're gone, and then you're at your wedding day, and you wake up in the morning, and then all of a sudden your hair and makeup's done, and then all of a sudden you're done your first look, and all of a sudden you're down the aisle, and then it's the end of the night, and you're like, where did the day go? I don't
Yeah.
know.
And then you
It
real
just flies by.
yeah, and then you realize like all those little tiny details you were stressing about didn't even matter.
No, I didn't look at the tablecloths. I didn't look at the specifics of anything. I liked and I didn't even look back at the pictures or the videos and really care about those things. What I cared about is having all the people that I loved in the same place celebrating with us because that was magical. It
Yeah.
wasn't about all those little things about what was on the table. Of course, those things matter and they're fun, but it was the feeling that I'm going to hold on to forever and be able to cherish forever.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then do you have like a moment in like your wedding planning where you dealt with like a difficult bride or like a worse kind of wedding planning kind of moment?
No, I would say we've been very lucky and very fortunate and we've worked with amazing people. Of course, there's the stresses and I think that stress hits everybody different, but I think that a lot of people and I hope that a lot of couples in particular come to us as more of a sounding board and more of like a person. I mean, we always say we're kind of like your therapists and this and that, all of this stuff in one. But no, I wouldn't say I've dealt with anything super difficult before in that sense. I think it's just sometimes the unknown things. The most stressful thing and most frustrating thing about weddings sometimes is that you just can't plan for certain things. Like sometimes things happen and you're like, okay, we've just got to figure it out. So that's again too why we do what we do, because we're there feeling the stress so you don't have to. Hopefully. So it's just all those unknowns of, this happened or that happened, or all of a sudden this isn't working out the way we had planned. And what are we going to do about it to make it work? So it's putting out all those fires in the background, I guess.
That totally makes sense. And then do you only do wedding planning like in the Vancouver area or are you like across BC? What does that kind of look like?
So Vancouver in the Lower Mainland, and then always happy to, go up to Whistler, go to the islands. I've done the Sunshine Coast. I'm doing Galliano, Kelowna. I've done Whistler, Squamish. So definitely happy to travel, have a little couple days, and it's just nice seeing other venues and seeing what else is out there. There's so many beautiful places in BC that I feel like we're really lucky. We actually did one up in Nelson years ago. That's a whole other story where we lost our car. But we're not going to get into that. But we did do, we've done tons of destination ones and they're a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to come along and really see what else is out there and get to know everybody in different areas as well too.
That's awesome. And what does like the process look like? Like someone reaches out to you, they do an inquiry, you take them on. What does the whole like planning process look like?
It is different depending on each package, but after initial inquiry, basically, move forward with booking. We always offer, 30-ish, 45-minute initial inquiry just to get to know each other, go through the package options, make sure that you fully understand what you're getting. I don't want you to ever book and be like, wait, this is what I'm getting. I didn't know that that was what it was. So a full run through of everything, obviously, if you want to chat further. And then the process basically starts with onboarding. How does the package work? What does this look like? What's the expectation? Where do we come in and what does that look like? And then depending on too, if you're doing a full planning or a partial planning where we're more involved, that would involve more meetings and more planning or at the start, versus a wedding management is more like a 2-month takeover with that support through the planning process. So we're still there, but that's more dictated by you
Yeah.
versus us actually coming in and booking those meetings, booking those vendors. So each package comes with its differences in terms of that, lead up to the wedding. But we try to be there to support. And something that I've learned over the years is just that support and guidance through the process. It makes our lives a lot easier. It makes your lives a lot easier. We don't
Yeah.
come in at 2 months and we're like, oh, here's this timeline, but this isn't actually going to work with what we have. So it just makes it easier if couples can lean on us and we can kind of guide them in a direction, just to kind of get that started and make sure things are in line for the wedding day.
Do they come to you with like vendors in mind they want to book and then you guys go through and book that process? Or is that something they would do on their own?
If it's a wedding management package, they would book all their vendors on their own. We obviously are happy to give guidance or support or recommendations of vendors too. If it's more of a partial or full, I'm just going to say a wedding planning package as a whole,
Yeah.
that's where, we generally give our suggestions, but sometimes they found somebody or they've heard of somebody or they've liked somebody. So we'll do that reach out and get that going as well too and get that information for them, and get that booking process going. But yeah, we kind of have our group of people or general, depending on what they're looking like too, or looking for, because every vendor does different things. So if they're a little bit more specific on what they're looking for, maybe we go for
Yeah.
this vendor or that vendor, but definitely happy. I mean, there's so many amazing vendors and so many I haven't worked with yet just because of the way that it goes,
Yeah.
that every time there is a new vendor, I'm always happy to work with somebody new and then just, build that relationship.
That totally makes sense. And how are like your clients finding you? Is it like social media, referrals, past brides?
It's a little mix of both. It used to be word of mouth, which we are so grateful for. It's actually one of my favorites because a lot of people, when people come to us and they've seen us at a wedding or we've worked their friend's wedding, they see what we do and they know us a little bit and they see the importance of that.
Yeah.
But then inquiries come in through, or from just people finding us on the internet, on social media. It kind of comes from all different places now. Word of mouth is definitely the biggest one, I would say, but kind of comes from everywhere now versus it just being word of mouth like it used to.
That's awesome. It's funny how things like change over time.
It is. It's cool to see and to watch the transition of
Yeah.
the business and see kind of where it was and where it is and how, I mean, I don't know if you feel the same, but you look back and you're kind of like, how did I get here? When did this
Yeah.
happen? And you can't even really fully trace the steps.
Yeah, it's crazy because like I'm hitting 4 years in July and like my business just started off of like Instagram and now
Yeah.
it's like changing into like referrals and like other clients telling other people and it's just like it's just crazy.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
We've watched your growth because I feel like we've been working together since the start pretty much. And it's just so cool to see and so inspiring. And I've said this to you a million times is just watching your growth through the start of your business to where you are now. And it's just incredible and it's so inspiring. So I've just loved being along for it.
Oh, thank you. And likewise, I've seen you guys since you guys started from like a side hustle to
Yeah.
like fully removing yourself from like the bookkeeping and the financial side.
Oh yeah, you've been through it. I remember coming to you and being like, Cindy, what do I do? And you're like, okay, this is it. This is who I recommend.
Yeah.
Let it go. Because I knew that at some point when I was more so the accounting side of it, and I also wanted to make your life easier. I was like, my spreadsheets are not it anymore.
Yeah, because you were like doing the wedding planning, you're handling all the emails, you're handling like the financial side of the business as well. So it
Yeah.
made you like finally let go of that aspect.
I think I just realized that when it got to the point where I wasn't enjoying that side of it anymore, it was affecting other parts of the business where I was too tired or too um yeah, I just wasn't at a point where I wanted to do it anymore. It wasn't enjoyable for me. It was more stressful than anything else. And I just wanted to also support another business that does it and that's their job. And I was like, okay, that's the beauty of owning your own business is that you get to bring in other businesses too that you can support through the community.
That's so true. Yeah, and I feel like bookkeeping is one of those tasks where like owners start off doing it and they think they can handle it. And then as they're growing and like scaling, it just
Yeah.
becomes too much.
Yeah, it just became stressful and I just didn't want to miss anything. And I felt like I didn't know what I was doing at some point anymore. And there were better systems that could go into place. And I just didn't, I had it to a certain point and then it became too big where I was like, why am I doing this to myself? Like, why is this something that I'm putting on myself and I feel like I need to put on myself?
Yeah.
So then I was like, okay, we're getting rid of that.
And what's like one money lesson you wish like you would have learned sooner?
To pay attention to the money and pay attention to what that means and what that looks like. I think it's so easy to just, and when you're busy too, you just kind of, it just all kind of happens. And then you get to the end of the year and you're like, wait, like, you don't know how you got somewhere. So, I mean, now really looking into the new stage of the business where it's like, okay, where is my money going and what's happening and how do I do what I need to do with my business that will benefit me and the business and grow the business in a way that makes sense and what are those next steps. I wish I'd paid attention to the understanding of the money more, but you're just so consumed by the work that you're like,
Yeah.
I'll think about that later, and then later comes and you're like, oh, I haven't thought about it.
I feel like you've been doing like such a good job on that aspect.
Thank you. That really means a lot because I feel like I haven't, but it means a lot that
Yeah.
it's coming from you because I know you deal with all the other side of it where it's like you see all that other side of it and when it's
Yeah.
all put together at the end of the each quarter or whatever. But
Yeah.
I tried to. It really is something that I want to pay attention to because I think it's a very important part of business. And I think it's something you can really become confident in. And I want that to be a part of the business too, is that confidence in that financial side of it.
Yeah, and I feel like just like working with you over the years, I feel like even though like your summers are super busy and like your rest of the year is kind of more stable, I feel like you've had a good handle like on your cash flow and like making sure like you're able to cover the expenses and make the business work.
Yeah, no, I feel very grateful. I feel like I've been in a very good position and um, it's kind of worked out in that way. And also, to learning to structure it in a way because we do have a very heavy season
Yeah.
where, if it's all put into that time, into those 6 months of wedding season, then nothing comes in the off seasons. And I remember we had that conversation of, okay, how do we make this work where we are getting paid year round or through the process? Where
Yeah.
it's not just at the end of a wedding where or a couple weeks before the wedding where all of our money comes in those 6 months versus it being spread out a little bit. I think that works on both parts because nobody likes to be hit with a big bill at some point before
Yeah,
their wedding. So why not pay it off throughout the process? So I know we worked closely with that too because I was like, we need to figure out something where it's not just all in those 6 months of that
right.
wedding season.
Yeah, and collecting like deposits like throughout the year.
Exactly. And I know after going through my own wedding and paying off things that I did enjoy paying things off throughout the process versus closer to.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was just something that brought me a lot of relief in knowing that, okay, that's done. It's gone. It didn't happen.
Yeah, it just makes it so much easier. And then like on like being able to like disconnect as an entrepreneur, like you just recently went to Europe for your honeymoon. Like did you feel like it was okay to like take a break from your business?
Yes, I think that's a part I still struggle with.
Yeah.
It's a hard part because I mean, I love this business. I do. I love everything I do. I love my couples. When you go through, vacations or different things in life, I feel like it is hard to sometimes take a step back because we don't get those vacation weeks. We don't get that
Mhm.
time. Um, so it's been a learning lesson and I'm learning to do it. It's
Yeah.
just hard sometimes, but I do also have a lot of great couples who have said, "No, go enjoy yourself. Like, why are you messaging me?"
Yeah.
I remember even around my wedding because I had other couples, and in one of my reviews, one of my couples wrote, "I hope Megan took off time around your wedding because she kept answering me." Or something along those lines. But it's
Yeah.
just because I love what I do. I truly just feel so grateful. But I
Yeah.
do know that I need to learn to disconnect a little bit. And that's a healthy thing to do. It's not bad.
Yeah, I feel like that's like the hardest thing, even for myself. Like
Yeah,
it's just hard to like unplug or like not answer an email.
exactly. Well, because it's just easier once it's done and you're like, oh, I
Yeah.
just have this minute. And also too, working from home and having it all there. But, the importance of being able to do that. I even have really made a point of, okay, at this time, I don't think about it. And I've been sleeping so much better because I'm not staying up working late and my mind isn't going. So little things like that, I think are super important. And you learn it along the way, but it becomes hard.
Yeah, no, for sure. I feel like it's more of like an entrepreneur thing because I feel like the clients are understanding. They're not expecting
Totally.
you to answer.
No, it's on you. Like it's truly me where I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I feel like I need to. And it's, they want you to have a life too. They're not like,
Yeah.
and we know the important things. Like if there's something that needs to be answered or needs to get like that I need to get on, I will do that. Um, but I also need to learn to, put down the phone and just
Yeah.
lay down on the couch sometimes or go for a walk.
Do you feel like you're like overextending yourself on like how many couples you take for the year for like wedding planning? Or have you done it enough times where you're like, okay, this is a comfortable amount and like I can't take any more?
That's a great question. I feel like I've learned along the way. I think, I don't take on any more than I can do. I never want the biggest thing for me is that my couples don't feel like there's other couples involved, that I
Yeah.
have other couples, that they're my only couple, and that I am responsive and that I am there for them. I don't want them to ever feel like I'm too busy for them or that I'm not there to support them. So that's something that's always been very, very important to me in the way that I kind of structure what I take on in the season. Do I sometimes take on a double header and I'm like, why did I do that? Yes, but I push through and I do it and I am so happy I do. But as I get like sometimes booking things, you're like, yeah, sounds good. And then you get closer and you're like, ooh, that
Yeah.
might hurt a little bit, but it's okay.
That reminds me of like your guys' New Year's wedding you guys planned.
Yes, that was a big one. That was a really, really big one. It was so great. I absolutely loved it. Um, you just don't realize how close New Year's is to Christmas.
Yeah.
So it was just it's great, but I think I also realize how important Christmas is to me and my family. So
Yeah.
I really wanted to be present for it. But even things like that, like I will never let that affect because that was my choice and I'm so happy I did it and I'm so happy I pushed through it and all of that. But every year, like I said, every year you realize things that you do or you don't do and you do it again or you don't do it again, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And is there a certain number of like weddings you take for a specific month?
I don't ever want to do any more than one a week generally,
Yeah.
depending on what that looks like, depending on the scale of a wedding. Like some weddings are less hands-on for our team or aren't requiring as much or aren't as late of a night or there's different factors that go into it. So
Yeah.
it just depends on what's involving or what's involved in those weddings and what that looks like. But ideally, and then try to always now take off a couple weeks in the summer. So I'm not doing every single weekend in the summer.
That makes sense. Yeah. Because even if you're scheduling like a year out, it's like a lot of like flocking out time too.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's hard. I think that a year out, it is so hard to plan
Yeah.
for the year ahead. So I really do try to be mindful in this year too, being a little bit more mindful of, okay, what does my 2027 look like? Because it might be a year and a bit away, but
Yeah.
it's going to come. And then I'm going to be like, oh, I don't have a weekend free.
Yeah. And then do you find like you have to plan things out with your friends and family like a year in advance?
Yeah, so it's hard. I mean, it's definitely hard when friends are getting married is a
Yeah.
big one because I do unfortunately have to miss a lot of weddings because weddings fall at the time when I'm working.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of really sad moments where I haven't been able to make people's weddings. We're not able to go to a wedding in September this year because I'd already booked weddings and it
Okay.
just wasn't feasible. And then same with maybe one next year. And when my best friend got married, she got married in August after me. We were tearing through the weekends trying to figure out because it was still at that time where I had a couple August availabilities.
Yeah.
And of course, she's my best friend. She thankfully made it work so that I could be there. I wouldn't miss it for the world. I would have figured it out. But it is the hardest part of doing this is the fact that a lot of times people don't book weddings in time for me to have that availability.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
So it's tough. It's tough to say no, but
Definitely tough.
it's the
Yeah.
name of the game.
And then do you find like a lot of weddings are still on like weekends or people are doing like weekday weddings now?
I think that Saturday's definitely preferred. I do actually have a Thursday wedding this year, which is great, and you do save some costs in certain ways on a weekday wedding just because it's just a little bit less expensive for certain things.
Yeah.
Fridays and Saturdays are definitely the most expensive ones, but that's because too people have those days off naturally, or if they need to take off a Friday, it's easier than taking off if you have a certain weekday wedding, then realistically, if people are drinking, they're probably going to want to take off the day after because
So
they're not going to
true.
be feeling too good.
Yeah.
Um, so it's different things, but if it's a destination wedding in particular where, all your guests are flying in, either way they have to take off days. So
Yeah.
it depends, but I have a couple weekday weddings, mostly those still seeing Friday, Saturday, some Sundays, but mostly Friday, Saturday.
That makes sense. And do you have like a team hired that like supports you behind the scenes?
Yes, and I couldn't do this without them. I cannot take any credit without them. I would not be where I am without them. The girls behind us, behind me, really are the support that keep us standing. They are the girls on the day that are taking care of you, that are, handling your setup, that are having eyes on everything because cannot I get pulled in a million different directions. I want to be everywhere at once, but I just can't. So these girls have been, in particular, three of them plus Brianna and I have been through the start of Sit Pretty. They've been with us since the start. So they know it very, very well. I know that I can turn around and they will know exactly what's happening. And I think that's so important to a business, in particular, what we do. I will say it time and time again. I could not do what I do without them. I I can't do it by myself. It's not gonna happen.
That totally makes sense. And when it comes to like investing in yourself or investing in the business, is that something you've always done regardless of where you've been in the business? Or is that something like you've been working through?
I've been working through it. I think it's hard. I think that no matter what you do, um, whenever something arises, generally you go on the back burner. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, this happens, you put yourself on the back burner. So I really am trying to live in both worlds where I am investing into both and don't feel like I'm losing any of that.
Makes sense. What do like the next 3 to 5 years look like for both you and Zip Pretty?
I mean, I would love to just see Sit Pretty grow. I would love to continue to support couples and support their days, be there as a guide and a support system for them. I'd love to grow the business too and have other girls that are planning and allow that to happen because I feel like, again, that's the beauty of having a business is also supporting other people and bringing other people in who do want that. So trying to grow others in the business and allow them to blossom and be planners and whatever that looks like, and also still allow them to plan in their own way because everybody does it differently, and that's the beauty of wedding planning. And the
Yeah.
beauty of finding a planner is all of us have a lot of similarities, but we are different people. We're all our own people. So allowing them to grow in a way that allows them to be them while they do it. But I want nothing more than to see the business grow and just do well and continue to support couples and make them feel good and confident in their wedding day.
That totally makes sense. And would you like expand like across Canada or like across BC?
I'd definitely be happy to. I mean, I would love to grow the business. I would love to branch off into different areas, whatever that looks like. I'd love to travel. So I would absolutely love that. How we get there,
Yeah.
I don't know, but I would love to take Sit Pretty to more than just BC or different parts of BC that maybe we don't work in as often.
Yeah, that would be like so cool to see. Because I know a
Yeah.
lot of times people think they want to grow and scale, but then it's hard for them to like let go or even hiring employees are like, okay, this is like money that's going out of my pocket.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I actually just gave up. I mean, I'm still there on social media, but I actually just gave up social media to one of my girls because I was like, you are great at this. I want you to have a good place in the business where you can grow.
Yeah.
Why don't you take this on? And she's done fantastic and she's working on it. And she comes to me, I'm like, yeah, no, that's like, I needed fresh eyes on this. I needed somebody with that eye for things because social media is a hard part of business.
Yeah.
Um, and I just needed that to be kind of taken off my plate. So those postings and putting together reels and, kind of organizing everything. So I did do that and I feel great about it. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's just such a nice feeling where you're like, I feel like I can just kind of let go and be
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. The bookkeeping, the social media, I feel like you're slowly taking things off your hands.
Yeah. And if I can, why not? I mean, why should I feel like I have to do it all? I
Yeah.
think it's hard though when you first start to not feel like you have to do it all.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm happy to still post stories and I will post here and there, of
Yeah.
course, but I have to give credit to her because she's taken it on and she's done it and I'm so happy to see it all.
Yeah. And it was so nice like seeing even like your wedding content on there too.
I know it's so funny because I feel it's like talking about yourself sometimes. I feel like I just feel I want to share it and I loved the day. I don't know, it's just funny and I overthink things. That's the reality of it is I sit there and I overthink everything.
Yeah, I would say like don't overthink it because even for myself, like I'm very like introverted, awkward, and like, but I feel like just like showing up on social media, like people connect with you, they reach out to you. Like even the podcast, I was like, I just want to do this for fun. And like I get so many messages and like so many people like listening that I didn't even realize would even listen.
Definitely. I mean, it's funny how you don't realize how many people are actually paying attention until you
Yeah.
post something or you put yourself out there. And a lot of people can relate. And I think one of the things, and um, I really feel as a business owner, because you're not taught to be a business owner in school. It's like, okay, this or that. And I remember too, my parents were like, are you sure? Like, a corporate job has like the cushion of this and that. And I was like, I'm not happy. I don't feel like I can do it, but I want to also inspire other people to do it. You just kind of have to go for it and then work at it and you could own your own business. Like it's just learning and reaching out to people. And I just really want to show people that you can do it. It just takes some time. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, and just moving through like your comfort zone. It's funny that you said that about like your parents, because like even when I told my dad I wanted to start my own business, he's like, okay, like let's look for an office space, let's hire a bookkeeper, receptionist. I'm like, no, I'm gonna offer like services virtually, and like he couldn't just like wrap his head around it.
Yeah, like it doesn't have to be because the hardest
Yeah,
thing I think with business, and I'm sure that you can agree, is the overhead that sometimes you
yeah,
have to have for some businesses, like an office space and all these things. If you start small with low overhead, it's a lot more, it's a lot easier just because then you're not relying, like you don't have to turn around and pay rent for something, or you don't have to turn
right,
around
yeah,
and do whatever. So similar to you, and I think that's why we like, well, I know that's why we let go of the chairs too, is just because, that additional overhead for storage space and, all those different things that needed to happen. And realistically, the chairs weren't doing anything because COVID hit. So that was our kind of, okay, maybe this isn't it, because it adds up very quickly, right?
right, yeah, and then even like carrying like inventory if you did more decor stuff.
Exactly. And there's lots of great people in the industry that carry lots of great decor. I'm like, that
Yeah.
doesn't have to be me right now.
What are like some trends you're seeing right now with like weddings?
um, I mean, definitely, I know you've seen like the certain like color palette. It's all over TikTok, the like chartreuse, the maroon, and all those. Um, I mean, I would say I'm trying to like really think about it, but with my couples in particular, it's just kind of, I feel like they're trying to create more of a feeling than anything else, and I try to push for that too. So not necessarily the big flowers, not necessarily all this. It's trying to bring it down and be intentional about what is happening. But I think too that's because budgets are a lot tighter
Yeah,
and weddings are expensive.
so true. Yeah,
Yeah, the cost of food and beverage, we all know the like gas, like everything has gone up in cost.
yeah,
So it's being mindful in how do we stretch that budget in a way that is intentional, makes sense to what you're looking for. Um, so it's just trying to figure out that, and follow along with what things are important and what trends are happening, but in a realistic mindset, I guess.
yeah, that makes sense. And do you have
Yeah.
like brides that come to you that tell you they don't have a budget?
No. That would be very stress. Like if there was no budget,
Yeah,
the budgets are the hardest part sometimes, just
yeah,
because, um, like anything, money is very important. Um, and money, things add up very quickly. And I think too, sometimes people see things on Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, and there's no price tag attached to
so
those
true.
things. So
Yeah,
when they look at it, they're like, I love that. And then you turn around and you price it out and you're like,
yeah,
that adds up very quickly. But it is like it's the name of the game. It's what it is. It's social media.
yeah,
And I'm so thankful for it because it really does obviously give us visuals. But I think that sometimes people they don't see the cost. So how do they know what the realistics of that are, right? Until we
so
lay it
true.
out and we're like, that's that's expensive.
Yeah. And do you find like most weddings like end up being within budget, or do they end up going over?
It really depends on what couples are looking for. If budget is something that's really important, generally speaking, we can stay somewhat in budget, in and around.
Yeah,
It's until they start to see what else they can get, where things kind of go, because it's also that comparison of, okay, have this budget, this is what you're looking for, this is realistically what it's going to cost, so do you want to up your budget or do you want to keep it where it is?
yeah,
So what things are important also too, I found it as I was going to, is that once things were paid off, and because you're paying things off throughout the wedding
yeah,
planning, that I felt like as I got closer, I was like, okay, yeah, I do feel like I can spend on this a little bit more and this a little bit more.
yeah,
So I think as people go, they kind of start to realize what they truly want sometimes. And sometimes that is a little bit more expensive than what they were originally thinking or what we had budgeted out. Because, for example, you look at, certain stationery, or you look at chairs, like, do you
yeah.
want to spend on those chairs or not? So, it's going in realistically with the budget, but then also things change over time,
Yes, that's so
essentially.
true.
Yeah, we all have a budget, and then
Yeah. And then it goes
I
out
was
the
very
window.
guilty of it. Yeah, Serge, I remember he looked at me at one point and he's like, I thought our budget was this. And I was like, yeah, but, these things are really important.
Yeah, I feel like because I've watched like Say Yes to the Dress so many times, and you would see so many brides go over budget once they fall in love with the dress.
Well, that's the thing, and it's just so hard. I mean, I'm guilty of it too. I went over budget with my dress, but I tried
Yeah,
it on and I was like, this is the feeling that I was looking for. I
yeah,
never cried in it. I never got emotional.
yeah,
But I had this feeling, and I knew as soon as I started trying on dresses
yeah,
that what was in my budget was not what I wanted
yeah,
very quickly. And it was what it was. I was like, well, I guess this is it. But you
yeah.
see it on the shows. It's hard because I try to remind people too, like, don't look at anything that is out of budget because it might end up being what you want.
It's so hard not to.
It is so hard and there's so much out there. Um, and it's really tricky because you could really just keep going. You could keep adding, you could keep doing things. Um, so yeah, it's a tough budget is a tough one because and you're planning over the course of a year or 2 years where things can change a lot too in that time.
So true. What advice would you give like a bride that like just got engaged, is thinking about the wedding planning process?
I would say enjoy the engagement. Don't feel like you need to rush into anything. Really sit down and talk with each other about what's important. Is there a certain budget that you want to keep in mind? And are you guys like, I know too, a lot of people have in mind they want to buy a house, they want to do other things. And is this budget and spending on a wedding going to affect that? What realistically is your guest count? Because that's a hard one too, because it might be 200 people, it might be 100, but how do you do that? And then also too, once you start looking at venues and different catering things, that's where it's going to go up a lot depending on how many people you have. I think budget is the biggest one, just understanding realistically what can you spend, what contributions might you be getting to that might help you dictate kind of where you go with that budget. But really just try to take it and not rush it and just really figure out what's important to you, because that's how you start. Because if spending a lot on your wedding isn't something that you want to do,
Yeah,
then you want to start thinking about, okay, how do we make it happen like that? So
that's such great advice.
yeah, it's a budget because you can't that
Yeah.
there's $5,000 venues and then there's $20,000 venues,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, you're speaking cash flow.
Yeah, and that's just one little part of the wedding. So, and then obviously as you add in more people, the cost of, food, beverage, all of that, per person, it adds up very quickly. So, yeah, that budget and that guest count, and then kind of go from there. If you
Yeah.
bring on a wedding planner or a coordinator, quickly it helps. But that's just me saying that.
What advice would you give like another woman entrepreneur that's like in the building phase of her business?
I would say just go for it, try things out, trial and error. Don't doubt yourself. I think it's so easy to sit there and doubt what you can do and your ability. Ask questions to reach out to other entrepreneurs, reach out to other people. I think that a lot of us are very willing to help and chat through how we got where we were or where we
Yeah.
are, what it took, what things you need to put in place, all those things. So I think that, just really give it a try and try your hardest and, work those long days. It will pay off.
Yeah, I would say like just sticking it through and putting in the reps, like regardless of you seeing like the outcome yet.
Exactly, because the outcome comes and it takes time. And sometimes you're so tired and you're frustrated and you're
Yeah.
defeated. And then you get to a point and you just don't feel that anymore. But it's hard sometimes, like I find in this position, the confidence is hard in terms of it isn't always easy to find because
Yeah.
you're just always like, oh, am I making the right decision or is this good or whatever? But I think just believing in yourself and surrounding yourself with people that are going to help you and asking those questions, are huge, huge things to just push forward and push through it.
Yeah, for sure. Are you working with like any mentors or like coaches?
Well, I feel like you have always been a mentor and a coach, and I have a lot of I mean, the support system within the wedding industry is fantastic. We're very lucky. And yeah, it's been amazing. Just getting to know other planners in the industry. It doesn't feel like competition. It feels like a community. And yeah, Hasty in particular has
Yeah.
been just, she holds these groups, and it's just a chance for all of us to get together and really get to know each other and understand, and chat through things and see other things. And she's been a huge mentor and a huge support in the community and in our growth as well too.
What does like wealth mean to you?
I think wealth is just, I don't think it's financial. I think it's happiness. Like, I think that, you can make so much money in the world and you could be working all the time, but it's really finding that happiness and that peace in what you do. I think it's being comfortable. I just, I think there's so much more when you have your business. I want, of course, it to thrive and
Yeah.
financial, but I just think that happiness is my wealth, and it's okay, where am I happy? How do I do that? And how do I feel comfortable in, the day-to-day life in the business?
Yeah, you definitely need that like that balance like between like health, taking care of yourself, family, happiness.
Exactly, exactly. So finding that, and I mean, I know we're talking about an F45 class, so I'm
Yeah.
like, we're gonna get there because I need to find work-life balance again.
And what is like the best way for our audience to connect with you?
I would say Instagram, email. You can always reach out over email. Um, any way really that you can. Instagram, I guess, and email are the two big ones. But I'm here. Don't be scared. I mean, I love talking to people. I love interacting. So, um, yeah, I'm always open to chatting or answering any questions that anybody ever has.
Thank you so much, Megan. I'll share all your details in the show notes.
Thank you, Cindy. It was lovely talking to you.
If you're a founder who wants real strategy, not noise, and you want someone in your corner helping you build a business that feels aligned, is profitable, and actually supports your life, you can apply for CFO on Call. This is my one-on-one financial partnership for established founders, typically making between $500K to $2 million, who want clarity, who want structure and confidence with their numbers. The link is in the show notes so you can schedule a profit strategy call, or you can DM me CFO on Instagram at It's Cindy Kumar, and I'll send over all the details.